Hey guys, Farmer John here, coming to you from New Earth Farm and Goods, the home of Keipos Inc., where we use food farming education to transform lives. In the garden, in the kitchen, in the classroom, we provide hands-on education. We provide programming at the Juvenile Detention Center, YMCA Garden Camp. We work with tons of groups and volunteers, and we're excited to have you here today. Today we're going to talk about 8 happy thoughts for garden delight. I've been working for the last 8 years in rural Nicaragua with coffee farming community, doing development, working with water systems, sanitation, soil building, air quality inside the homes, as well as at the same time building a 5-acre educational demonstration farm that is a perennial polyculture full of fruits, nuts, flowers, herbs, edible mushrooms. What else we got here? We got sheep, pigs, ducks, geese, turkeys, chickens, guinea fowl, and then there's one guinea pig. So a lot of what I've experienced over the last 8 years is learning how to use natural systems to build a healthy ecology. If I was to describe myself as an occupation, a vocation, I would say I am an ecological restorer, focused on ecosystem restoration. So we're going to go through quick 8 thoughts for happy garden delight. My family obviously is the most important part, and there's me with some beehives. So first important thought is to know your place. You got to know where you are. Where are you situated? Who are your neighbors? What kind of slope do you have? What kind of climate are you in? What other effects are coming in affecting you? From wind and sun and neighbors and noise pollution. If you're a backyard gardener, you're limited. Can you grow in the front? Can you have chickens? There's a lot of things that you need to know. To know your place means to be intimate with it, to have a relationship with it, not to just have information that you read online, but to have hands-on intimacy and interaction. Second is home is where the heart is. That is the center, the core of where we begin. So knowing where you sit is really important. I don't even know why I had this point on here, but that's okay because I've not looked at this PowerPoint in about 2 months. So home is where the heart is. That's the core, that's the center, that's where we spend all of our energy. That's our family unit, the people that we interact with the most. In fact, if we look at our house, that's where we produce the most waste. That's where we use all our electricity. That's where we're wasting and have a lot of heavy chemicals. So knowing where we begin to learn how to build from there is really important. And without a center, if you don't know who you are and where you're coming from, I think that's really important to know where you're trying to go. Next, foundations first. This is a picture of a barn that we tore down from my neighbor from the storm that came through Omaha last year at the Papillion and had such devastation. Foundations first mean obviously the foundation is still standing, as that's our mineral base. We need to have a good foundation in our soil of minerals and elements and microbes as well, so that we can actually build our house. In fact, when I talk about soil, I talk about building a house. The minerals, the basic elements of the soil are our foundation. If those are not there, you can't replace that through compost. You have to do that through mineral additions. Second, make soil and love. Here's a picture of earthworms. It's not just about the elements in the soil. This is the walls of our building. This is alive microbiology, full of earthworms, nematodes, and protozoa, and bacteria, and fungi, and many other, and billions of bacteria in the soil. Soil is alive, dirt is dead. Our goal is to make the soil to be alive, which means we have to feed it what it wants, not using chemicals and herbicides, but using carbohydrates, proteins, and sugars as our basis for building biology in the soil. So we have our foundation, we have our walls, and if you want a healthy garden, you gotta have a roof, right? You gotta have a roof. Without a roof, your garden's gonna be terrible. I mean, your house is gonna be terrible. Who lives in a house without a roof? Anyone? You're not gonna live there very long, right? You're going to get rain, you're going to get wind, you're going to get hot, you're going to get cold. You've got to have a roof, and mulch is our roof to our house. This is a house in North Omaha where we're working with Abide and doing restorations, and we had this roof that was really bad in a house that probably should have been torn down, but we put a brand new roof on an old building. So that is our lipstick on the pig here. But that roof is still holding up, and that house is still standing, and it's getting remodeled right now. You've got to have mulch. Mulch does so much for you. It helps with evaporation, with temperature control. Without mulch, your soil temperature can be, in the summer, can be 40 degrees higher. With mulch, you can drop that way, way down. It's also a food source for the biology breaking that down. It helps with evaporation, with compaction. And mulch, I would say, is probably one of the most important things. Next, early bird gets the worm, right? Here's my youngest son sleeping in the hammock, but it's all about timing, right? You got to be on time if you're growing food. If you can't be thinking, oh, it's July now, let's start thinking about planting corn. You're too late, right? You got to have timing. Early bird gets the worm. And then next, water is life. You got to have water, okay? Or you're going to get burnt. Without water, nothing can live. Anything living has to have water to survive. Too much water, and you could be drowning. So you got to have that right balance of water. So I highly recommend wearing sunscreen. Though I don't wear any at all, I'm probably going to get cancer or something. Next one, house your friends, feed your enemies. To have a good, healthy biological system that is pest-free and pesticide-free, we got to use the living life around us. For example, house your friends, feed your enemies. This is a picture of me in Nicaragua. I work for bananas. Right? I go and I help people and they give me bananas, and it's a good trade. House your friends means creating habitat for beneficial insects, like predatory wasps and mason bees, creating habitat. In fact, I would even say like your frogs and snakes and things that are going to be eating those insects. We want to create habitat. We want to make it friendly for them to come, so they want to be with us. And then feed your enemies, okay? This is key. Instead of, if you don't kill them, if we feed them, we wouldn't have war. A lot of war comes out of scarcity. We can see that on many examples around the world. But feed your enemies. That could be, I want to keep the coyotes out of my chasing my lambs. I want to make sure that there's a plentiful rabbit population around for them to have food. Maybe I plant my garden around with different hedge of trees that the deers love. So the deer stay out of my garden and they eat the black locust, and they're foddering on that instead. House your friends, feed your enemies. Next, you got to embrace the jungle. Okay, you got to embrace the jungle. Every time we cut our grass and we cut things back, the roots die off. So if we're mowing twice a week and we're always keeping the grass at like 1 inch, you're not going to have any soil structure. You're not going to have any soil life. The roots can't get down. And in a jungle, there's diversity. There's all kinds of things keeping each other in check. One thing's eating another, and it works. And here we see a turkey. This is during when the Japanese beetle plague hit us, and we had hunters going around and cleaning up all of our Japanese beetle problems. Next, expect and accept loss. It's going to happen. Things always break down. Things always change. Stuff happens. We need to expect and plan for that. You can see we got 2 chainsaws stuck in the tree after that big storm. And accept it. Look at the problem as a solution. How can we take the problems that we have and accept and adapt and continually change with it? And last, we need to wait for climax. Climax is really important. What I mean by that is trees getting at their climax, apex place of nutrient density and biomass before we cut it down. For example, the best time to cut the grass is right before it goes to seed, letting it grow tall and then cutting it back before it puts all of its energy into the making seed, and then it takes its energy from its leaf structure and has actually less biomass to do that. Cutting back with flowers, and that includes like waiting to harvest at the right time, right? When we get tomatoes that are shipped across country that are picked ripe, they're not tasty. They don't taste good. When you have a ripe tomato, that Brix level, that sugar level just explodes with sweetness in your mouth. Strawberries is a great example of that. So waiting for climax is about nutrient density and about harvesting at the right time. So yeah, learn more at keipos.org. It's keipos.org, and see how you can get involved with all the things that we got going on here in the farm and in the city. Peace out, Farmer John.